remember the old days when people thought nothing about watching a movie on TV? Ugh, that was the Stone Age. Pan and scan pictures, commercial interruptions, anything too risque cut out. Movies on TV were edited for three main reasons. For bad language.
Where'd you get that beauty scar, tough guy? Eating pineapple?
For nudity. And for violence.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance. It's the night he came home.
A good example is the R-rated Halloween Part 2. The movie has very little in the way of profanity. For a film about people being stalked by a mad killer, they do a pretty good job keeping their mouths clean. The main offender is this guy here, Bud, one of the ambulance attendants. This guy's got a potty mouth.
Amazing grace, come sit on my face.
Nowadays, most TV curse words are censored by cutting out the audio.
My name is Asac Schrader. You can go f*** yourself.
But before, the censoring was done in a more hilarious fashion, by dubbing over the original audio track with alternate lines, making sure they were delivered by someone who sounded nothing like the original actor.
Julie's full of shit.
Every other word you say is either hell or shit or damn.
Sorry. I guess I just fuck up all the time.
Julie's full of sugar.
Every other word you say is either hell or damn.
Sorry.
I guess I just foul up all the time.
Just listen to this one.
Michael Myers, just get your ass over here.
Michael Myers, just get yourself over here.
That's right. There was a time when you couldn't say ass on TV.
Can an odor-free patch stand up to your back pain?
You bet your sweet Aspercream.
Introducing new Aspercream Back and Body Patch. The first and only...
The theatrical version of Halloween 2 has a fair bit of nudity during the hydrotherapy sex scene. The TV version deals with this by cutting around the tits and ass shots. Each time it looks like we're going to see some skin, boom, cut to a close-up of a temperature gauge. Good thing the second unit got all that B-roll, eh? Let's compare the two versions of this scene here, where Michael Myers sneaks up on the sexy lady. The TV version is zoomed way in order to keep her exposed breasts out of the frame. Pretty smart, except this shot goes on for nearly another minute while Michael emerges from the shadows and kills her, making the whole thing look clumsy and awkward. Wouldn't it have made more sense to just trim the start of the shot instead of ruining the entire scene? And what's the deal with this weird cutaway of Michael? What's he looking at? Halloween 2 has its fair share of gruesome moments. The late Donald Pleasance was quoted in Fangoria as saying, "Halloween 2 was a little too violent for my tastes." So there was quite a bit of grisly shit to tone down for the TV version. Let's see. We never see the close-up of the razor blade sticking out of the kid's mouth. The entire scene of the nurse getting stabbed in the eye with the needle is gone. When the cop has his throat slashed, the TV version uses an alternate take, where Michael picks him up and stabs him in the back instead. In either version, the cop's a dope. How many times does Dr. Loomis have to warn him to watch out?
Get away from him! But he stopped breathing!
We don't see Michael stab Loomis in the end. Nor do we see the blood dripping down Michael's mask after Laurie shoots his eyes out.
You'll shoot your eye out! You'll shoot your eye out!
That one's a shame, as Michael crying blood is perhaps the most iconic image from Halloween 2. Today, regular TV has shows like Scream Queens where they'll show you someone getting their fucking head chopped off. But when the TV version of Halloween 2 was prepared back in the early 80s, the rules were a lot tougher about what you could and could not show on TV. I'm surprised at the amount of things Halloween 2 had to tone down. Some of them are ridiculous. When Annie's dead body is removed from the house, they cut out the shot of her open eyes and bloody throat. That was considered too graphic. They don't show her at all until the sheriff's got her eyes closed. She almost got left out of the movie completely. Every TV show from Hannibal to NCIS shows graphic images of dead bodies. but in Halloween 2, they eliminate most of the close-ups of the burned corpse.
It's difficult.
They also cut out certain shots when the guy in the Michael Myers mask is hit by the exploding police car, but maybe that's just because they realized how fake it looked. This one blows my mind. Michael sneaks into Laurie's hospital room and stabs the bed a bunch of times before realizing he's been fooled by the old pillow under the covers trick. What a maroon. But in the TV version, they actually cut out the shots of him stabbing the empty bed. Seriously? It was considered too violent to show Michael Myers stabbing a couple of pillows? At the end of the movie, when Dr. Loomis unloads his gun on Michael, just like he did in the beginning, the TV version only has him fire twice instead of 5 times, denying us a few shots of Michael's body doing the herky-jerky as the bullets rip into him. They also toned down the shooting in the beginning flashback, but in doing so, fix one of the film's flubs. In the theatrical version, Loomis shoots Myers 7 times.
I shot him 6 times!
The TV version cuts out one of the gunshot sound effects, and Loomis now fires the correct 6 times. Obviously, any 1980s R-rated movie has one of these TV versions, full of bad edits and sloppily dubbed over profanities.
You are gonna be a bad mother crusher.
Once I even called him
Airhead.
Oh, shoot.
But what makes the TV version of Halloween 2 interesting is the radical way scenes are re-edited and moved around in order to create an entirely different viewing experience. For example, in the theatrical version, the first scene after the credits is from Michael Myers' point of view, as he walks down alleyways, hiding from Dr. Loomis, who's just shot him.
I shot him 6 times!
He goes into a couple of houses, stealing a knife from one, killing a young girl in another. In the TV version, we start with Laurie being taken to the hospital instead. This is important because it makes the movie feel like it's more about Laurie than it is Michael. We see her arrive at the hospital, get stripped down to her bra, then we join Dr. Loomis and the sheriff as they drive around looking for Michael, inadvertently getting some kid in a mask creamed. That Michael Myers POV scene from the beginning of the theatrical version doesn't occur until after the first commercial break, around the 15-minute mark. In the theatrical version, when Michael steals the knife from that adorable old couple,
Harold, you want mayonnaise on your sandwich? Are you asleep again? How about mustard?
he leaves behind a puddle of blood that freaks out the old woman. She realizes the killer was just there in her house, right behind her. It's like one of those urban legends where she was saved only because she didn't turn around.
I'm getting out of here.
The TV version edits this scene in a weird way. When she turns around, instead of discovering the blood in an empty kitchen, they edit in a shot of Michael, which is clearly taken from another part of the movie. Don't even try to make it match. The old woman sees Michael and starts screaming. This is just awkward and confusing. What are we supposed to think has happened here? That he killed her? I don't think so, because you can still hear her screaming when he walks away from the house. What was the point of changing this scene? The first version was much creepier. Not sure what they were trying to accomplish, but it was likely done to compensate for cutting out Michael murdering the young girl at the second house. In the TV version, he splits after she calls the police, and she gets to live.
He probably got angry and decided to start beating her.
I'm trying to reach Mr. or Mrs. Morgan Strode.
The TV version includes a lot of deleted scenes between the nurses and doctors. Stuff that fleshes out their characters, makes them seem like real people instead of just fodder for Michael to slash. We also get more scenes with Laurie. Again, this is a good thing. One of the major criticisms of Halloween 2 is how the character of Laurie, so resilient and heroic in the original movie, was turned into a catatonic who spent the whole movie laying in a hospital bed. This is clearly one of Jamie Lee Curtis's minor efforts as an actress.
Por cierto, comida y alquiler no es lo único que cuesta dinero aquí. Tú dormirás en el sofá.
Another welcome addition to the TV version is a new scene in which Laurie freaks out, convinced Michael Myers is coming to get her, and she is forcibly sedated, which explains why she spends the rest of the movie stumbling around like a drunk. In the theatrical version, she's just suddenly catatonic for no reason. Because of this new scene, her acting now makes sense.
You won't die, Mama. It won't go away, Mama.
But not all of the TV changes were that beneficial. Some were just plain weird. Like, in the theatrical version, the security guard checks through the basement, tension slowly building, until Michael Myers pops out of nowhere and clobbers him with a hammer. In the TV version, they not only add in action music, but repeatedly cut away to shots of Michael walking through the hospital, to make sure you know he's coming for the security guard. Oh, and the hammer to the head is cut out because, you know, too violent.
Mr. Garrett, I gotta get back on the floor.
Another oddball change concerns Jimmy, played by the last Starfighter. In the theatrical version, Jimmy discovers the body of the head nurse and, whoops, slips in her blood and knocks himself out cold. He's probably got brain damage. In the TV version, he's still wandering through the halls looking for Laurie when she and Dr. Loomis are fighting Michael in the operating theater. You think he'd hear all the screams and doors breaking and gunshots. When Loomis flicks his bic, the reverberations of the explosion knock poor Jimmy off his feet. Why he lands in a huge puddle of blood is never explained. While the theatrical version ends with Laurie in the ambulance, looking grumpy, thinking about her brother burning to a crisp, the TV version finishes up with a Love American-style ending. Old Jimmy is in the ambulance with her, having survived hitting his head, and romance is in the air.
We made it.
I suppose this eventually led to this.
Don't make me cry, I need your pie.
Papa rides with Johnny, but Johnny can't come home, 'cause he's been on the chain gang too long.